just tell everybody, surprise!
Surprise, everyone. Believe it or not, we're live. I'm Josh Keegan, and welcome to the Space Down Under. Igniting the Space Down Under, I'm here live in Sydney with Brian Lim. Brian actually invited me down to Sydney, and you know what? I decided to show up. And because I'm actually not in my usual studio and doing all my usual stuff, I've managed to mess this up in such a big way. I came down and I swear I was fully prepared.
Oh yeah,
and
you were.
I was absolutely ready to go. I had the media loaded. I had everything ready to go. And yeah, such is my life with my live streaming and all that sort of stuff. I've now managed to botch that up too. So yeah, congratulations, well done, me.
Well done.
Yeah, I
well
know,
done,
right?
Josh.
Anyway,
Well
so
done,
I thought I'd do that. So welcome, Brian. Thank you very much for joining me on Igniting the Space Down Under. Thank you very much for bringing me into, allowing me to come down to your studio. I do appreciate it. But you being able to host this. And guys, this is just going to be nothing more than Brian and I chatting. So yes, this is going to be the most boring live stream ever. Yeah, feel free to make any comments or anything like that in the live chat. Join us for questions and answers and all that sort of stuff. But pretty much, we're going to ask you to use your imaginations as much as possible during this live stream because, yeah, nothing's working. All right, so Brian, if you'd just like to let everybody know exactly who you are for those people who are joining us for the very first time, this is Brian Lim.
Hi there, my name is Brian Lim. I'm the bald Asian guy here.
And I'm not.
Yeah. My hair story begins with a rocket engine. I'm a rocket scientist because I kept my eyebrows. Okay, so I'm a space entrepreneur, 12 years, built a whole bunch of stuff in the US, came back to Australia, says I'll build some stuff here. And I've been around the block a few times.
Right. Around the block a few times? Interesting analogy, mate. I really like it. Anyway, all right. So, yeah, look, I just want to let everybody know. So thank you very much for the introduction, Brian. I just want to let everybody know that this, first and foremost, everyone here, Brian and I both love and respect the Australian space industry. We are talking from a place of passion and consideration and all that sort of stuff. So when we talk about the industries, it's from a place of love, I suppose. So I just wanted to start out, I guess, I've got a script here that's not really in its usual spot and everything as well. So just to let everyone know, normally this is where all the music comes in and about the Australian Space Agency and whatever else. I'm not going to do that. No, you're looking at me like I want to do a rendition. I'm not doing a rendition of my own music. I'm sorry.
Dun, dun, dun.
Anyway, so all right, so. Yeah, so interesting news. This is only the first couple of days of 2024, so welcome to 2024. Happy New Year to everyone if you celebrate in this particular calendar, because as we all know, the Chinese New Year is upcoming. In the new year, there's only been a few minor items that in terms of the Australian space industry. So we've released our own space coin, the world's first coin for 2024 was released on Monday, the 1st of January, exactly, involving for highlighting and celebrating Australia's involvement in space at the Royal Mint in Canberra. There was a 12-year-old Izzy Zaharis from Wollongong was the first person to collect the new coin, showcasing Australia's involvement.
So jealous.
I know, right? Involvement in space with references to our milestones like our first, which is the RESAT, which everyone hears me bang on about. I normally have a mug that I didn't bring with me. That's what I forgot. This is a disaster. Anyway, yeah, we're RESAT satellite, Weapons Research Establishment satellite in 1967, and also our involvement in the Apollo 11 moon landing. The Mint worked closely with the Australian Space Agency in designing the coin, and interestingly, this is the first coin to feature the King Charles's new effigy. So, so it's the world first. The Australian Mint has decided to put that one out. So it's got King Charles on it. If I had a picture, I'd show you, but you're going to have to use your imagination again. So he's definitely on that coin, and it's one celebrating the Australian space industry, which is very, very interesting and good to see. So the other thing as well, it was announced late last year, and I got onto it early this year because of the Australian of the Year nominations have been made. Australia's first female Aussie-naut, Kathryn Bennell-Pegg, has been nominated as Australian of the Year. Kathryn is due to fly to the International Space Station when the mission becomes available sometime in the future. Her astronaut training is with the European Space Agency and has been sponsored by the Australian Space Agency. Yeah. Kathryn was a mission systems engineer for Airbus UK before moving back to Australia to take up the position of the Assistant Manager of Space Capability, Robotics and Automation with the Australian Space Agency. In 2022, Kathryn was promoted to the Director of Space Technology, and in 2023, now 2024, she's been nominated for the Australian of the Year. Brian, how come you haven't been nominated? Where's your nomination? Actually, where's mine? For that matter.
Australia. I cannot be nominated Australian for the year. I don't have the accent.
Oh, that's not a name.
Man, I don't. My barbecue isn't. My barbecue skill isn't up to scratch.
His barbecue skill. Oh. Brian has been, let me just say that the last few days, Brian has been an absolute magnificent host. He has, can I say publicly, this guy has some killer barbecuing skills. And for some reason, the stream has stopped.
No. You're still streaming. You're still streaming. No, relax.
That's right.
So, okay, now I got to fill in the blank here.
Yes, please.
Because
Fill in the blank.
this is my setup. We are actually streaming to you in 4K. We haven't actually tested the 4K stream, but although theoretically everything has. So you're actually getting the feed in 4K, and I'm seeing here on my test screen that I'm actually coming at 4K real. That little screen is playing catch up.
Oh.
So, like if you did on that panel. So this system that we were setting up is actually designed for a very different, kind of podcasting style. And we can stream 4K. And the idea is that I have this laptop, and the objective of this laptop is to be able to say, all right, let me show you, plug it in, and I can show you the other things. And this thing would just do that. And I wouldn't care what happened on this screen. Because if we check, and I'll just pull a quick check over. Despite us being on a 4K stream and that video being crappy, we are actually streaming at nearly 50 megabits per second, upload to the internet, and it's only using 5.7% of the CPU percentage.
Wow. In case you didn't know, Brian is also a bit of a tech geek.
Where did I come from?
Amongst everything else. But yeah, you guys are going to see this studio. It's actually pretty magnificent. There's a outside the camera range, there's a mixing desk here for all the audio and all that sort of stuff with great big wall buttons that, that looks like I could do some sort of beatboxing or something and have that recorded there. It's a very, very, very good setup.
Yeah, and the studio is still being set up, right? Like properly. So you look behind me.
This is being set up? What?
Yeah, look behind me. The TV's not even turned on. You can see the reflection of everything we're doing in the back.
Yeah, you can too.
And turn it on to 4K. You can see his actual text that he's reading off, and you can read it and go, okay, he's reading his text.
Yeah, I do that. Normally I go from a script, so yes, I have to, because otherwise I don't remember what I'm doing half the time. So
absolutely, okay. But that's the behind the scenes of it. Look.
And behind the scenes, you can have a look behind the scenes. It's right there.
Exactly right. So eventually we're going to put up stuff on that TV, like logos and stuff, and then we'll put an anti-glare mat so you don't see our lights. Actually,
how come you didn't put up my logo and my stuff?
You didn't ask.
Oh. I didn't either. I never thought of it. You know what? This is great. This is such a good live stream. I love it.
So apologies for all of that. So I'll take the blame for it not going accordingly.
It's not your fault at all by any stretch of the imagination. It's
all right. I'll cook you another steak.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I was after. So yes, Brian has really, really, really good barbecuing skills and is able to barbecue a steak very, very nicely. Also, interestingly enough, you're a massive foodie, which I found interesting.
Wait, you didn't know I was a foodie?
No, not really. We talk about the Australian space industry and what's going on in the world and all that sort of stuff. And in case you didn't know, Brian and I are pretty good mates. So yeah, I didn't know you were a foodie. Why is that not part of my memory structure? Oh, I'm tired. That'd be it.
Well, the other half is that you live in another city, so it's pretty hard for us to get dinner.
True. That's true.
It's like, imagine if you were in the city, living in Sydney with me, and it would be a situation of, hey, you want to go get somewhere? I found this random restaurant, it has good reviews. You want to give it a go?
Yeah, that'd be me.
And then you'd be like, yeah, Brian, I'm on my way. Or I will be like, Brian, the last restaurant you picked? No, we'll not go there again. Don't you dare take me there again. It looked great. It had a 5-star Google review, but when you went there, I think Google made a mistake. It was a -5.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, it can be very much like that. Everybody out there already knows that I do love my caffeine and all that sort of stuff. But the things they don't know is that I'm a massive foodie myself. I do appreciate food and good food especially when it's cooked by Brian.
My problem is I started cooking to try and lose weight. and it failed.
Same here.
Yeah, my food got so good, it's just like I just couldn't lose the weight.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that completely. Oh, wow. Yeah, but it's been really cool being in Sydney and hanging out with you. But yeah, look, we should probably get on to the other news. Yes, because we digress. I mean, there'd be fun audio and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, at the moment, it's just two blokes talking. So global space news. January 1 this year, as well as while Australia was announcing a new coin, India was launching a satellite to low Earth orbit. So ISRO's, the Indian Space Research Organisation, kicked off the year with a new PSLV-C58 X-ray polarimeter satellite ExpoSat mission on the 1st of January 2024. The first launch of 2024 had on board ExpoSat. Had on board the ExpoSat and 10 other payloads from startups, education institutions, and ISRO centres right around India. ExpoSat is the first dedicated scientific mission to carry out research in space-based polarization measurements of X-ray emissions from celestial sources. ExpoSat consisted of two payloads, Pollux, polarimeter instrument X-rays, and Expect, X-ray spectroscopy.
It's all right.
Spectrometry. Spectroscopy. Read the word. It's right there. People even at home can see the word. I mean, come on. Spectroscopy and timing. ExpoSat is the second X-ray polarimetry mission in the world after NASA's Imaging X-ray Polarimetry Explorer IXPE, which was launched in 2021. The 10 other payloads included radiation shielding experimental module by Take Me to Space, women-engineered satellite, WESAT, not RESAT, let me be clear, by the LBS Institute for Women, so fantastic on the women of India, Belief SAT-0 amateur radio satellite by KJ Somaya Institute of Technology, apologies for the pronunciations, launching expeditions for aspiring technologies, a technology demonstrator, LEAP TD by Deruva Space Private Limited, the RUDRA, Rudra, 0.3 HPGP by Bellatrix Aerospace Private Limited. I like the name. Acra 200 by Bellatrix Aerospace Private Limited. So there was two by the same company. Dust Experiment DEX by PRL ISRO Fuel Cell Power System by FCPS, and a fuel power system FCPS by VSSC ISRO, and the Psi-based high energy cell by VSSC and ISRO. So there was quite a number of different payloads that were on that flight. So yes, there were quite a number of startups that went to low Earth orbit along with that exact same mission. The other news as well, and Aritra Mondal, so shout out to him, who's actually helping to contribute to the international portion of the Space Down Under, igniting the Space Down Under live streams. ISRO has also laid out its Gaganyaan human spaceflight missions. So Vikrath Jonah has also put that together in a visual graphic, which you can imagine would look fantastic if I had it. Detailing 2024 as the year of Gaganyaan, India's human spaceflight capability. The image supplied by Aritra, it clearly outlines a timeline. So Q1 2024 is the in-flight abort, and that is of the space flight module for a human-rated one. H1, so the first half of the year, will be the first flight of Gaganyaan module to space without the crew to really increase that level of safety. By Q3 will be a second in-flight abort to cover things that weren't covered by the first one, and then no earlier than 2024 is a pad abort, so that's straight on the actual pad, very similar to what SpaceX has done, where they did an on-pad abort, where the human space module actually went to a particular level, and then they brought it back quite safely. And then lastly, before the end of this year, a helicopter drop of the capsule verifying the recovery systems. So India is well and truly on track for human space flight in the next 12 months, which is exciting. I mean, they've conquered Mars, they've conquered the moon, and now they're conquering human space flight.
Man, I got to give credit to the Indians, right?
I know, right?
I mean, what their Mars mission was, I think, 60 million USD in equivalents. It's cheaper than it was cheaper than making a movie about saving, who was it, from Mars?
The actor. I can't remember his name. Yes, I know the one. Bring him. It was bring him. One of the main one was bring him home. Matthew
McConaughey? No.
No. What's the name of that guy? If you know who it is,
If you know, you make a comment.
Make
like,
a comment,
help us
guys. Help us.
Exactly. But look, just so you know, I can't recall the actor's name, but before that actor, he's Hollywood has spent more money rescuing him in the budget. In those
The Martian. There we go. I googled it quickly. There's a secondary screen over here. I googled it quickly. The Martian. So the Martian film.
Yes, you're right. So Matt Damon.
That's him.
Yeah, Matt
Starring
Damon.
Matt Damon. We're both reading the screen. Look at that.
Yes.
And you can tell from there.
So Matt Damon, his movie cost more than going to Mars.
For ISRO, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and also Matt Damon is the most saved man in Hollywood.
Really?
If you look at Matt Damon's movie, he has this one, he has Saving Private Ryan and one or
true.
two others, and the combined allocated budget to all those movies to save him. It's just one of those hilarious little memes you find on the internet.
That's a good one. I quite like that. That's really interesting insight. So India is certainly becoming in ISRO, and so to the entire nation, guys, congratulations, well done. But yeah, very much looking forward to the human spaceflight and going to and from space with obviously nationals on board. Can't wait to see that. That's going to be a fantastic thing because India has achieved quite a lot in the space industry in a very short time when a lot of people had already written them off, I believe.
Yep.
So yeah.
I would say, look, India definitely going to be on the up and up.
Yep.
I will also say I'm expecting interesting things from Japan.
Yes, JAXA.
Yes, JAXA. The Japanese are going to. I'm pretty damn certain the Japanese are going to start accelerating. India's in the lead. Let's be real here, but Japan's going to accelerate. It's going to get really interesting.
Yep.
It's really the one that's really quiet. I would say I'm wondering is what the folks in New Zealand are going to be up to. They got rocket labs.
Yes.
But you don't hear anything else.
Yes. Oh, there is another one. There is another one. There is another one. Hang on. There's. I'm just googling it. You can see it in the background. I think it's called Dawn Aerospace.
Oh, I think I've heard of Dawn Aerospace.
Yep, Dawn Aerospace. So yes, there's another one. So basically, what Dawn Aerospace is doing out of New Zealand is they're building a single stage to orbit rocket. Believe it or not, using a particular engine. There's no way to put this on screen. All right, that's cool.
Actually, I can.
Oh, you can. Brian can. There we go. Brian might come back to save the day. Look at that.
Well, so after all, it is my facility, right? So if I fuck this up, then it is. So here we go.
Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Here's Dawn Aerospace. Here's single stage to orbit. So they're building a space plane.
Yes, they absolutely are, and they're doing very, very well at supplying the engines for others as well. So yes, it's very interesting. Very much looks like a small model aircraft at this stage. It's just simply because it's in the development proof of concept stage.
Yeah,
it's moving beyond that with more test flights. But yes, it is proving out to be a viable technology.
That's actually really interesting. I would love to see how it progresses because like single stage to orbit is the holy grail.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Like, look, reusable rockets was the like OMG. Like you did what? We thought that was the holy grail.
Yep.
And in many respects, that was an incredible moment. Now that we have that, reusable single stage to orbit is the next thing.
Yes.
That's literally when you can go Sydney, New York, 2 hours, refuel, recycle. And the thing, it's a space plane, not a rocket, which means with a little luck, you can use an existing airport.
Yes, that's the entire intent, is to use the existing infrastructure to launch and land from.
Yeah.
Wow. It's interesting what will happen in terms of New Zealand in the next 12 months, I guess. We'll need to wait for the public releases of that, and as soon as they come through, well, then they'll be reported here, obviously on part of the Igniting the Space Down Under. All right, so well, that was it. That's all I've got. That's a pretty short live stream. It's pretty basic this time because I don't have anything. I want to talk about Brian's wonderful T-shirt he's got here and bring attention to the fact that he's wearing. I survived. He survived the snap. And it's mainly starting to feel like, what exactly were you saying earlier? You've survived COVID.
We all survived.
We
COVID.
all survived COVID.
Yeah, we all get the end of it, right? Like. So please don't demonetize us, YouTube, for mentioning COVID. It's a done deal already, okay?
Yeah, exactly. And look, I'm here sporting my own Mars Society Australia, so props to Mars Society Australia. Don't forget those guys are there as well as part of the Australian space industry. So the Mars Society is in the US, and one of their biggest members is Elon Musk. Don't forget that guy is their biggest member and paid member as well. And so, yes, Australia also has the same version of that here, Mars Society Australia, MSA. So, yeah, check out the website, go and have a look if you wish to become a member of the Mars Society Australia, because they do have, they've restarted. Initially, when I had first started talking to these guys about the president of the Mars Society, talking about what they were doing, how they were doing it and all that sort of stuff, he had a lot of COVID restrictions, but they were still working forward. They are back to going to Utah again, to the research facility, and they are now well and truly back on track to having those. They've had a couple of expedition missions, simulated missions from Australia back to there. So they're well and truly back on track.
Yeah,
cool.
No, I'm looking forward to it. So, I mean, if you finish your news, maybe we can speculate a little bit of funny stuff.
Cool. Let's do that.
Well, okay. So first off, on weird speculations, like we're sitting down having this conversation, and as you can already tell, he's discovered my barbecue skills, and so, so I got a question for the audience, just as a thing, right? If you could actually design your own space company, if you were given, say, an infinite budget, right? Let's take the money off the table.
Yep.
You're going to be dreaming about building the fanciest thing you want.
Of course.
So what I want to ask is, what would be the most important thing that you want to get built that would enable others to go to space? And when I say enable others, not like putting humans in a rocket to go up and be an astronaut, but to enable not just you, but other people to build businesses, for your friend to go like, I know what you're doing. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to get involved.
Well, for me, the big thing for me would be a continual, ongoing presence in low Earth orbit to begin with. So we have the International Space Station. And guys, don't forget you can participate as well, and you can try and put yours up as well. We'll read them out at the end once Josh finishes his little rambling. And then or Brian finishes his. One of the two. So for me, it would be a continuous human presence in low Earth orbit that goes beyond the International Space Station. And by that, I mean, you could go up there and have a holiday if you want. So for me, space tourism is a big thing. Once you're off the Earth, you can see the Earth in its entirety. And that would be a cool thing to see. But also at the same time, commercial, the ability for businesses, small, large, and multinational, to actually be able to do low Earth orbit research in terms of anything. Because when you're up in space, if you take something away from the space station and you want to test it in 0G, then that's fine. You can do that. And if it explodes, the most that'll happen to the space station would be a shockwave and not much else. It's not going to impact the Earth much at all, unless you're talking about massive amount of you're doing something that could power the sun or something like that, which could end the Earth. But we're not, apart from creating a black hole. Yeah, so that's the sort of thing I'd like to see happen. So that way we're regularly established. Other people, everyone can go to orbit whenever they feel like it. Companies can go up and do whatever research, R&D they wish to do, and then because then once that R&D starts to come into it, because you can go up into low Earth orbit or microgravity, and you can manufacture. We talked about this before, which is fiber optic cable. At better resolution with less errors in the fiber optic cable, so that could be on orbit manufacturing for that, on orbit manufacturing of growing stem cells for organ growth, all that sort of stuff, and having them be sent back via gyro chute. or anything. Yeah, that sort of stuff. It opens up a whole world of new possibility rather than just going to the moon and sitting on the moon. Because the moon also introduces a whole bunch of new challenges, which is the regolith is finer than sand. It gets into absolutely everything. The Apollo astronauts all came back reporting the same thing, that the regolith got into absolutely everything just because of the grain inconsistency and all that sort of stuff. That presents problems. Mars is further away again, and that represents a resupply problem until they become self-sustaining. So there's always will be an Earth Moon or Earth Mars connection until either the moon or Mars becomes self-sustaining by using in situ resource utilization and growing their own food and grabbing their own water and creating their own fuel for return journeys.
Awesome.
That's where I think.
Man, that's a lot you just pulled out.
I know, right? And that's just out of my back pocket without thinking. Because clearly this live stream is all part of me not thinking.
Absolutely. And I know we're trying a whole bunch of new stuff. So if the video, I suspect the video was janky at some point. I think I'm trying to fix it while he's been talking.
Okay, cool.
But with a little luck, hopefully that's all done now. Look,
Okay.
It makes a lot of sense. But I will turn around and says, the biggest argument we have people that, who doesn't like the space industry, why do we spend all this money when we've got all these problems on Earth? So let's play that argument and say, how does the space industry make life on Earth better?
By exactly what I said. So so on-orbit, so for me it would be on-orbit manufacturing is where we're able to build better fiber optic cables, grow organs, all that sort of stuff, where there's less error, all that sort of stuff based on gravity. So that's something that is good. Also the tourism as well, so people can actually see the Earth, to actually benefit the Earth, to actually understand that the Earth is a fragile system. Apparently, I don't know. Anybody wants to send me to space, me or Brian to space all together, you're most welcome to do so. So yeah, it would just be an interesting, I believe it would be an interesting thing for more people to see the Earth for what it is from space.
100%.
Yeah, so that would create, everyone comes back and who's been to orbit and I've read all of the stories. Yeah, everyone comes back and the first immediate response is, I want to protect it.
Yeah, I understand. You want to protect it. I think there's a trend among all of us that we want to make sure the famous phrase is, we borrow this Earth from our children.
Yes.
So my version is we have two responsibilities in this world. The first responsibility is to make sure that this world is ready for our children to take over.
Correct.
The second great responsibility is making sure our children are ready to take over the world.
Yeah. And my children are ready to take over the world. Hi, guys. Just in case somebody happens to be watching. They don't, which is why I'm talking to everyone online.
I just have the haircut.
Yeah, I know, right? There's a clone running around somewhere. It's really creepy.
All right. Folks, I think that wraps us up, right?
No, you haven't responded. What would you do? What would you do? And you haven't checked the live chat yet to see whether or not anybody has actually responded with anything.
Actually, no, I'm sitting in the live chat the entire time and nobody has said a word.
That's all right. That's fine. That's cool. But what would you do? What would you do? You're not going to escape this one.
All right.
Because as we know, no one is watching this. They've tuned out ages ago.
I think I would go to low Earth orbit, and I'll build a farm.
Yes.
All right, if I have the thing that we actually have, the hardest thing that we are actually trying to create right now is more arable land.
Yes.
So 1945 to now, because of globalization and resources, we managed to double the amount of arable land in the world. That's not enough if the population keeps climbing. Now, if the population doesn't caps out at 9 billion and comes back, this is less of an issue. But if it continues to climb, how are we going to produce food? That's one. Two, these are perishable goods. So how do you ship them to where they're needed? Right? Because you buy local, you grow local. And if you are like Australia and you want to ship your steak, your beef all over the world, that's expensive and you pay a premium for it. So an orbital facility would be able to produce some high quality agriculture output,
Yep.
which would be, it is way easier to drop stuff from space back to Earth than to send stuff up.
Yes.
So literally dropping apples on your head.
You wouldn't want to drop apples on people's head. You want to be a little bit more accurate than that. You want to be able to control the descent so it goes into an unpopulated or a particular area that no one is there.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Well, you'd be dead.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the mortician, not the doctor.
Apple a day keeps the mortician away. Yeah, see, that sounds a little bit more morbid.
Yes.
More my speed. Good.
Well, look, so I mean, I think agriculture. So the first major thing, whenever anywhere we have gone historically, like when I say historically, I mean like 10,000 years. One of the first things we've ever did was figure out how to plant and grow crops and eat in the area. If we ain't foraging, we're planting crops. Civilization has not started anywhere where there was zero agriculture output.
Yep.
There has to be some level to have some level of civilization. And today, people still move to where food is cheap.
That's true. That's very true.
Now, food is cheap when the inputs are cheap, which includes things like water, fertilizer, energy, logistics, yada, 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 which all make a great place to live from that kind of perspective.
Yep.
Civilization is built around these things. That's where we are. So if we are going to go to space, if we're going to access any of the opportunities that we talk about, fiber optic cables, new medical, new manufacturing, we have to eat.
Yes.
And I think growing food in orbit is the first major step.
That's really interesting. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, because then you're not shipping, and then you're not basically sending rockets up with just food and water, the basics. You're actually bringing everything. You're growing everything on orbit, and then the transferring it from one station to another station is much easier.
Correct.
There's no fuel impost. There's fuel impost. There's a pulse burn or whatever else to actually break. You just start maneuvering towards the actual space hotel or the manufacturing facility or anything like that. Okay, question. Okay, so if you're establishing a farm in orbit, my questions are, I've got some really good ones too. So here we go. We're going to get comfortable. Right. So my question to you is, what do we do in terms of getting water up there or soil? Because soil has a unique bacteria and everything to it. Hydroponics work, but you're talking about gigaliters or thousands of liters at least. How and where do you get water?
That's a really, really good question.
Do you have an answer?
Yes. You first grow cactuses. You start with the desert plants. So it's two parts, right? You got to reduce the amount of water you need, so you figure out how to grow those plants first. Now,
but the thing is, the cacti actually requires a lot of water to begin with because that's how they are inflated that way.
But you see, shipping water, we always talk by weight. But if you go study an oil truck, and then, at the back of an oil truck, there's a giant tank.
Yes.
Now, do you know the entire tank is actually not hollow? There's actually sections.
Yeah.
So that when you drive the truck and it has to brake instantly, the fluids don't slush forward and crush the truck.
Yes.
It's designed to break it up.
Yeah, so they're individual baffles that stop the flow of the liquid in a straight fashion. It actually brings it down and breaks it down.
Now, and bear with me because his question is, how do I get the water?
Yeah, where do you get the water from?
Yeah, so the cactus acts as the buffer because you have solidified units of water now you can carry up. Right, organically speaking. Photosynthesizes everything, and it's heavy on the start, but you don't need a lot of water to keep it going.
Because you're recycling and
Exactly.
whatever else and reprocessing.
Yeah, and so if you forget the water for a month, it's actually okay. So therefore, you reduce your water intake. Now, when the water level drops below a certain point, you run the hotel with the farm.
No, okay, hang on. I think you're missing. I think you're missing a portion of this. When you grow a plant or when you grow a crop, you bring up a lot of water with you, and when you actually that crop grows, it absorbs a lot of water.
Yes.
And speaking of the movie we could never think of, The Martian, there is actually an interesting equation of exactly how much water is required. Oh, hang on. He answers the question in the movie. Yeah, he actually answers the question.
You put the hotel next to the farm, right?
Yeah, the hotel next to the farm, but you also, what is it? You take a couple of different things and you burn, and then when you burn, the side product of that is a little bit of carbon dioxide and water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Right. So that's why you do it. So you either lift up the cacti to actually begin the whole process, and then later you bring up the chemicals that will continue the process by mixing the two gases and burning with a catalyst. That was it. He was using a catalyst.
Yeah.
Over iridium catalyst. I can't remember which chemicals they were. Anyway, so yes, and so in part of that, then that actually solves the water problem. It's per square meter of soil, you require so many liters of water, and it becomes a very exponential problem very quickly.
Yeah, because it's like how much you store in the surface area, right? So if you have 1 square meter, it's weigh 1 liter. 2 by 2 is not 2 square meters; it's now 4.
Yeah.
3 by 3 is 9. So
it's squared.
yeah,
Roughly squared. Yeah. Okay.
So
I like that as a potential solution.
yeah, because then the cactus minimizes. At least it helps gets the water and stored safely and handled. As long as the cactus doesn't explode and fire needles everywhere, I just want to make it clear.
Cacti is unusual. Why wouldn't you? Okay, well now I've got a question. So why would you start with cacti and not actually do what they do in The Martian and just bring the chemicals up with the catalyst that you burn to actually create water?
Well, to be first and foremost, right? Like that's more effective. But what you still need to do is bring living soil.
Yes.
Right. You're not just talking about water. You're talking about all the biomass required to kickstart the ecosystem, right? So if you have a kilo of active soil, right, and you mix it with say 10 kilos of soil, how long does it take to actually propagate that across the soils? That's not days. That's weeks.
So in order for a farm to be quite successful as well, in terms of a low Earth orbit, all that sort of stuff, would you bring all the bugs and everything with it?
Yeah.
Bugs and bees and so how would you transport that?
Well, NASA does bring insects to space all the time.
Yeah, they do that all the time. That's true. That's exactly true. Because otherwise, you're spending a lot of time trying to go around and I can't remember what they call it, pollinate each individual flower and all that sort of stuff.
No, there's been no experiment of bees in space pollinating. Prove me wrong.
No, there has not. That's an interesting question. That's an interesting scenario. But can bees orient themselves in 0G? Well, that's the question. Can they actually do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good point.
And what will they do when they find out that, for example, we have flowers above and below them?
Well, see, here's the thing: is a bee actually flies because the atmosphere is treated more as a fluid than actual air. So, and yes, it's an old misnomer that technically a bee shouldn't be able to fly because of the body weight versus wingspan, yada yada yada. That old argument. So yes, this is interesting. So I think this is really really interesting that bees in space, has that been done? NASA, are you watching? No one's watching. Let's face it. NASA, if you're watching, or the Australian Space Agency, take bees to space. How about that? I think they have done some experiments, but can't remember. Oh, Brian's Googling it. Here we go. Or you can see it in the background. There you go.
In 1984, the NASA Space Shuttle Discovery took 3,400 bees into space. Most survived the flight, with only 150 dying in transit. Over 8-day mission, astronauts studied their comb and flight patterns. Okay, so they probably made it work.
Yeah, I would say so. There you go.
Bees on this mission adapt better to flying in 0G than they had on Columbia, but their first effort to draw comb-produced structures built an angle indicating bees may have difficulty sensing up and down from the absence of gravity. Bees can only produce honey during the time when they can find abundant nectar in the environment around their hive. The period of great nectar availability, called honey flow, varies regionally, but may last from late spring to summer. Some locations get second honey flows in the autumn where goldenrod blooms. Can't pronounce it. I'm not in the biology world.
Goldenrod.
Goldenrod. So, in short, they've been to space. They can figure this out.
Wow. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Approximately 8 ounces of honey was consumed to produce 1 ounce of wax. Bee is much more likely to produce or repurpose wax they have if they can. The bee's energy is only one factor in the production of a comb. So this is not figuring out a bee hive to actually impregnate flowers, but to actually can it makes a hive themselves.
Right. Yeah, well, you take the hive up as well. You really would, but you wouldn't actually be using the hive to necessarily to make sure to grab honey. That would be the secondary byproduct if you manage to get it, because they might have a bit of difficulty trying to actually fill the combs. Interesting. That's very interesting, Brian. Thank you for that.
No worries.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. All right, guys. Well, that's the end. So yeah, look, I would normally try and say that follow me on don't forget to like and subscribe and do all that sort of stuff. The usual palaver. If you want to support me, don't forget the Space Down Under also exists on Patreon. So it's patreon.com/the Space Down Under. I also do have a merchandise range if you want to go and have a look at that. It's shop.thespacedownunder.com. You can go and do that as well. And as always, remember, stay caffeinated, because I don't even have the mug here to say stay caffeinated and hold it up. So yeah, guys, remember to stay caffeinated. I will enjoy my time in Sydney. So thank you very much, Brian, to at least letting me use your magnificent half-done studio. Half-done studio. This was really, really good. I like this. So I might come down a little bit more often. You gonna barbecue for me next time?
I think we can organize something.
Yes. All right. That sounds fantastic. So all right, guys. So thank you very much for joining me on this live stream. And hopefully next time